Hi everyone and welcome back to the coverage for YCS Bologna 2024. I'm here joined by Alberto, but most importantly by Time Wizard, and that is because we are gonna go and take a deep down memory lane as we delve into some combos, and well, specifically we are gonna dive into Time Wizard 2010. And if for a lot of players April 2010 is considered to be, you know, a back and forth grinding Yu-Gi-Oh with no real combos, oh well, you will be wrong, because back in the day, and thanks to quarter century bonanza, we are now able to enjoy some of these cards as we will in different rarities. There was a peculiar card, I would say, in the name of Substitute, which is an absurd card, and back in the day it was even crazier because it was not once per turn, but most importantly, as there was turn player priority, ignition priority, when you summoned the Substitute, you could, before your opponent gets a sensory response, activate the effect, and essentially that gave the deck just such explosiveness. And well, that card, just a few months later, with the release of Ronin Todin, would become probably the first or one of the first ever FTKs in Yu-Gi-Oh! That would win not only the European Championship, but even the World Championship. But even in April 2010, the deck had a lot of potential. And if you've ever played this kind of Time Wizard tournament, which you can do this weekend as well in YCS Bologna, you know that there are a lot of more slower decks. For example, Monarchs are very popular, but today I want to focus on a deck that a lot of players call Dream Frog, and that is because the deck does so many things. It can do a lot. It's very fun. It's my personal favorite at the moment to just enjoy. So I'm gonna use Alberto to just you know, teach him teach him some combos, because I think he needs some. So if we jump back into action, as we mentioned, the star of the deck is this beautiful quarter century rare Substitute. Essentially, the idea of this deck is that you want to get access to this card as fast as possible. Usually in this format you have obviously the free copies and the one copy of 1-for-1 to also get it, but players have found, you know, different ways to access this card. And another one which is quite funny to me is that you can use your swap frog to actually send to the graveyard the Substitute and then recover it with salvage. So this is also a way that this deck can operate. And essentially, again, the idea is you can play a few Monarchs, but you want to get to Substitute. And why is that? Well, you can do a lot with Substitute. As anyone who has played the Time Wizard knows, as long as you have any other monster on the field, you can start using the effect and just go on an infinite feint, just using all the frogs in your deck. So, for example, you have a 3-burn, you can tribute the 3-burn and keep on filling your deck up by sending more and more frogs to the graveyard to just fill your deck. And then the good thing is that by doing so, you enable cards like Pot of Avarice to essentially be completely free. As long as you have a monster next to it, you can just keep on tributing monster and using Pot of Avarice for free, which again is a great advantage of the deck. But most importantly, something that you can do with a card that is forbidden nowadays as well is this little guy, Fishborg Blaster. This card is absolutely insane. What it allows you to do, first of all, it's a tuner, but you can only use water monsters to synchro summon with. By discarding a card, as long as you control a level 3 or lower monster, so this is all good, you can keep on bringing it back. So essentially, if you can get access to this card and you just have a Substitute, as long as you have cards in your hand, you can just bring out your frogs and then discard cards from the end to just bring back the Fishborg, and this keeps on giving you cards for Substitute. So essentially, the Fishborg turns your cards in hand into cards on the field. But what are we gonna do with that, Alberto? Well, back in 2010, things were a little different, and I'm gonna introduce you guys to a couple of friends, which are Armory Arm and Colossal Fighter, some good old, fan favorites. And the thing is, back in the day, there was an interesting ruling where if you read Armory Arm, you would think that you equip it to your own monsters, it makes them stronger, you attack over your opponent, you deal some damage, that's great. Well, that's not how the card was always used, because turns out you can actually equip Armory Arm to your opponent monsters. And what that does is that if you crush your monsters into it, the effect still goes through. So you deal damage equal to whatever you've crushed. And, well, Colossal Fighter is a sneaky little card that when it's destroyed by battle, keeps on coming back. So basically what you can do, as long as your opponent has at least a 1900 attack monster, if you have these two cards, this back in the day was an OTK because of the ruling, so you would equip this to your opponent, keep on crushing this, as essentially you take 100 damage at a time, they take 28. So you can see how that it's easily an OTK, but how can we do this with the Substitute? Well, we did mention it. All you need is to get access to the Fishboard Blaster, and then, as long as you have this, any 4 cards in hand will do the trick. And this is because, as we have mentioned, you can keep on using the Blaster. So what you would do is you tribute the Blaster, bring out some of your frogs, and in particular, my favorite one, which you usually don't see, Death Frog. This is here just because it's a level 5, so you can use it to then synchro summon. And then what you do, essentially, you discard one of these cards, doesn't matter what it is. You bring out the Fishburg, again use the effect, bring out any level 2, discard the second card, bring out the Fishburg, and this is already a synchro. So you can go 5, 2, and 8, and this already makes your Colossal. And then, again, simple as that, you discard the third card, bring it back, tribute it to get any level 2 frog, whatever you prefer. I'm gonna get a dupe. And last card in hand is discarded to bring it back one last time, and this is a 4 into your Armory Arm. So as easy as that, this is an OTK as long as you have 4 cards in hand. And what makes another great card in this deck, another way to do it even easier, is, well, another card that is forbidden nowadays, and that is Dandelion, because essentially what you do is that if you have the Fishburg, as we mentioned, you need 4 cards in hand. Turns out that if you actually discard the Dandelion, you need only 1 more, because the Dandelion will get you 2 tokens, and then you can tribute the tokens for Substitute. So you can see how much fun you can have with this. You can just get to play with a lot of very cool frogs, and then assemble your synchro summons, but still have this very good win condition. And the plus side as well is that since you're filling up your graveyard, you have these cards like Power of Avarice and Salvage, which sure, they are a +1, but how are they important? They represent more cards in hand for this OTK. So this is why this deck is a dream. You get to play a lot of very cool different water monsters and still overwhelm your opponent. But if you're feeling threatened, it also allows you to go for the good old dupe lock, where if you summon 2 dupes, your opponent would be forced to attack 1, but if you have 2 on the field, they cannot declare attacks on your monsters. And that's a great time to buy some time for our little fellow time wizard over here. So this has been the Dream Frog analysis. Thank you guys for diving into this. If you want to have fun, again, check out some of these cool Quarter Century Bonanza cards that have come out that can make your deck a lot more bling nowadays. And make sure to test this deck out and try it for yourself at the Time Wizard events happening here at YCS Bologna or at the upcoming events. Stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you.